Hello and welcome to an update of our Goldilocks experiment. We have our 3 bins here, and we also have our first feeding. This is the ground up food. Here we have chunks, and here we have whole. So we'll first start with our shredded paper and cardboard bin and see how our worms have settled in, and hopefully they've all done well. There's plenty of material here for them to compost through, so they didn't have to worry about adding food right away. But it looks like, yeah, they're all spread out. If you recall, we put about 2 ounces of worms into each bin, and we shall see which way of composting works the best. When you do everything on super duper small scale, or you just leave it in big chunks, we'll see. So obviously the shredded up food goes in this bin. This is just some watermelon skins. I'll give them a cupful of eggshell just to keep the acidity level down. And then we'll just cover this up with the existing material so there are no smells and that the worms can come right up and eat. And then I'm going to cover it up better. And then I'm going to take some newspaper here, and I'm just going to cover the part where we fed, so I'll know for next time, because I have a lot of experiments going. Okay, now let's go over to the cut up bin. And here is our bin where we cut the paper and cardboard in pieces. And same thing here, the material feels nice, it feels moist, there is no liquid of any kind. The worm seems to be happy, they have good sheen on them and a good size. So all is going well in here. We're going to do the same thing in this bin. We're going to feed in the center, and we're going to give them the chunks, the cut up pieces of the same food. And we're also going to give them the oyster shell. And now we're going to cover these guys up. I know fruit is one of their favorite. They love fruit of all kind, and because of the sugar content, it really does encourage microbial activity faster than any other food that I've found so far. And since we're trying to establish good microbial activity for the worms, that's my go-to food, is fruit. Last but not least, let's go over to our whole food bin right here. Let's see how these guys are doing. To move the light a little bit. Yeah. So, same thing here. the worms have gone to the bottom. It's nice and moist throughout. There they are. They're looking good. And even the material itself, although I haven't added any more water, seems to be holding up pretty well. So nice and moist throughout, no issues. The worms are nice and chunky. So they're doing great in here as well. And we're going to feed them in the center. And these guys, of course, will get the whole melon. This is about I measured it out to 3.5 ounces. So it's by no means a large feeding, but as the population is not that large, we have to be careful and not overfeed. And now they have their food as well. So this is officially our first week of feeding. Nice big guy. And we shall see how quickly these worms handle the food. Now, next week when I'm going to come and check on them, I won't be surprised if the majority of the shredded up food or blended food is gone, and that this melon, whole piece melon, is still there. But it is interesting to see how pretty much equal amount of worms handle the same amount of food when it's processed differently. So this is the update for today. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week.